The message arrived at dawn, when the world was still holding its breath. A single sentence, heavy enough to bend a life out of shape, sat glowing on the screen of a cracked phone. A woman was pregnant, the man who promised forever had vanished, and the quiet reply of a single father, one no one expected, would become the hinge on which everything turned. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, in the idea that one brave choice can rewrite an ending, take a moment right now to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this matter because people like this exist. Ethan Walker lived in a small town tucked into the blue-collar heart of Ohio, where mornings smelled like coffee and wet pavement, and the nights were stitched together by porch lights. He was 37, a widower with 2 children who had learned too early how to tiptoe around grief. His days were mapped by school drop-offs, oil-stained work shirts, and the soft rituals of bedtime routines that tried, unsuccessfully, to replace a missing mother. He had not planned on becoming an anchor for anyone beyond his children. He had not planned on anything at all, not after the years life felt quiet. Rachel Collins had come into Ethan's life like a sudden warm front after a hard winter. She worked at the county office in a neighboring town, carried herself with a careful confidence, and smiled like someone who knew what it meant to rebuild. They met through a community fundraiser and shared polite hellos that turned into coffee, then long walks along the river where the water kept moving even when everything else felt stuck. She knew Ethan's story. He knew parts of hers. They were 2 adults doing the cautious math of love, counting risks, subtracting fear. When Rachel discovered she was pregnant, the ground beneath her cracked open. The man she had trusted panicked and disappeared, leaving behind nothing but unanswered calls and the echo of promises that dissolved under pressure. She drove for hours, past gas stations and exit signs, until she reached the edge of Ethan's town. She sat in her car, hands shaking, heart racing, unsure why she had come except that she had nowhere else to go. She typed the truth into a message because speaking, it felt impossible. Ethan read the words while the coffee brewed. He felt the old ache flare, the instinct to protect wrestle with the terror of being hurt again. His house was already full of memories, full of obligations. He had learned the cost of love the hard way. The easy response would have been to step back, to offer sympathy from a safe distance, to wish her luck and return to the fragile stability he had built. The harder response required courage he did not know he still possessed. He did not rush. He watched the steam curl up from his mug. He glanced at the framed photo of his late wife Sarah, her eyes kind and steady, as if she were reminding him that love was never meant to be safe. His reply was short, honest, and unguarded. He told Rachel she was not alone. He told her he would listen. He told her to come inside. Rachel stood on his porch minutes later, pale and exhausted, the morning light revealing the weight she carried behind her eyes. Ethan did not offer solutions. He offered space. The house was quiet except for the hum of the refrigerator and the soft thud of footsteps upstairs where his children slept. Rachel's tears came without drama, the kind that slip out when a person has been strong for too long. Ethan sat with her in the stillness, letting the moment be what it was. The days that followed were a study in careful hope. Ethan's children, Noah and Grace, sensed the shift in the air. They were old enough to notice the extra place at the table, the new routines forming like cautious bridges. Rachel moved through the house like someone learning a foreign language, mindful of boundaries, grateful for small mercies. She attended doctor's appointments alone at first, then with Ethan waiting in the car, then with him sitting quietly beside her, hands folded, present without presuming. Word traveled fast in a town that measured time by football seasons and church calendars. Some people whispered, others offered casseroles and gentle smiles. Ethan learned again how much courage it took to choose compassion in public. He learned that kindness was not passive, that it demanded action and endurance. Rachel learned to breathe again, to imagine a future that did not end in fear. The pregnancy was not easy. There were nights of nausea and mornings of doubt, afternoons when Rachel stared at the ceiling and wondered how she would manage the weight of motherhood without a partner. Ethan did not pretend to be the father of the child she carried. He did not erase the past. He simply showed up day after day with rides and reminders, with patience and steady hands. He taught Noah how to tie a tie and helped Grace practice spelling words. He learned how to cook meals that worked for a sensitive stomach. He learned that love could be practical and profound at the same time. As months passed, the house filled with new sounds. Laughter returned in small, surprising bursts. The children grew attached in their own cautious ways, not naming what they felt, but living it. Rachel's belly grew, a visible testament to a future that refused to be small. Ethan wrestled with his fears in the quiet hours, wondering if he was enough, if he was risking too much. He remembered Sarah's laugh, the way she believed in him, and he let that memory steady him rather than paralyze him. The turning point came not with a grand gesture, but with a quiet realization. Rachel stopped apologizing for taking up space. She started planning. Ethan found himself making room in the garage, researching car seats, adjusting budgets. He noticed the way his children spoke about the baby with shy excitement. He noticed the way Rachel's smile reached her eyes again. The life he had protected so carefully was expanding, not breaking. When the baby arrived on a cold night with the roads glazed in ice, Ethan was there, heart pounding, awe settling into his bones. He did not claim what was not his. He claimed the moment, the responsibility of care, the promise of presence. The hospital room glowed with the soft light of new beginnings. Rachel held her child and felt something uncoil inside her, a trust she thought she had lost forever. Time moved forward, as it always does. Sleepless nights gave way to first smiles. The house adjusted to its new rhythm. Ethan and Rachel learned how to talk about the hard things without flinching. They learned that family was not a rigid shape but a living thing, formed by commitment and choice. The man who had left became a footnote, not a wound. The child grew surrounded by hands willing to hold and hearts willing to stay. Ethan never announced his decision to the world. He simply lived it. He understood that love did not need applause to be real. It needed consistency, it needed humility, it needed the courage to reply quietly when loud exits tempted him to retreat. Rachel found her strength mirrored back to her, not borrowed, not diminished. She became the mother she hoped to be, grounded and resilient. If this story is stirring something in you, if it reminds you of the power of showing up when it would be easier to walk away, please take a moment to like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with someone who needs encouragement, and subscribe to the channel. Your engagement keeps stories like this alive. And before we reach the end, leave a comment telling us where you're watching from and what part of this story touched you the most. Your words matter more than you know. Years later, on a summer evening in the same Ohio town, the porch lights flickered on as children chased fireflies across the yard. Ethan watched from the steps, a quiet smile etched into his face. Rachel stood beside him, steady and sure. The life they built was not perfect, but it was real, and it was theirs. It began with a message that could have ended everything and a reply that chose to begin again.